President Daniel Ortega joins us tonight from Managua, Nicaragua. Mr. President, thank you for being here.
Buenas noches.
Good evening.
Fred, Bayer, nuestro saludo.
Greetings.
Mr. President, there are multiple human rights organizations tonight saying that some 350 people have been killed just over the past 80 days. Why are paramilitary forces involved in armed actions against those who are protesting your government?
Ya tenemos como una semana.
It's been a week
en que han cesado
now
los disturbios.
that turmoil has stopped.
Lo que hay es una normalización del
Matters are becoming more normal
y luego algunas actividades
in the country,
de manifestaciones
and there have been some demonstrations,
tanto en contra
both
como a
against
favor
and in favor
del gobierno.
of the government.
Manifestaciones
It all
fue
started
una ley que tiene que ver con reformas
as
a la seguridad
a
social.
result of a law
Se hacen imprescindibles
on changing Social Security,
país.
changes that were indispensable
Son
to
medidas
introduce in our
que se
country.
están aplicando
And the response
fue totalmente violenta.
was totally violent.
Primero protesta unas pequeñas manifestaciones
First,
por la noche,
it started with some
pero luego
demonstrations
fueron
at night,
ataques armados
but then there were armed
de
attacks
paramilitares
on the part of paramilitary
han
groups
lanzado estos ataques en contra
that started
de
these
las instituciones
attacks
del Estado, en contra de la
against
policía,
organizations
en
of
contra
the state, against the police,
de lo que
and
son familias que ellos identifican como
against
familias sandinistas.
families that are loyal
Luego
Sandinista
vinieron
families,
bloqueando todo el
and
país,
they started blocking the entire country.
cerrando todo el país, trancando todo el país,
They were
convirtiendo los
closing
tranques en punto
the
de
country.
captura de ciudadanos,
They
de tortura
started-
de ciudadanos.
You're saying that you don't control these paramilitary groups. If you don't control them and they're acting on behalf of the government, who controls them?
Son fuerzas
These
que
are
responden
groups
a organizaciones
that
políticas.
obey political
Unas están en la
organizations.
Asamblea Nacional de
Some even have
Diputados.
elected deputies to the National Assembly. They
Son
are
del
members of
Partido
the
Liberal.
Liberal Party.
Otras no
Others
han
did not
participado en las elecciones, se han negado a
participate in the
elecciones.
elections. They refused
Y
to do that,
son los que
and they've
han
been
venido
organizing
organizando
these
estos grupos
paramilitary
paramilitares
groups
desde hace un buen tiempo
for some time now,
y tratando de aprovechar cualquier
and
situación
they have taken advantage of every small
para
situation
lanzar
in launching.
Mr. President, they are attacking protesters who have called for you to step down. They are attacking protesters who say that you eliminated term limits, that accuse you and your vice president, your wife, of setting up an authoritarian dynasty. They are attacking the Catholic Church that has spoken out against your government. So you are distancing yourself from all of these attacks?
ninguna de las
First of all,
manifestaciones
in none of
pacíficas
the peaceful
ha
demonstrations
sido atacada.
have we been attacked.
Los choques se han presentado en horas de la noche
At night,
cuando no hay
when there
manifestaciones
are no
pacíficas.
peaceful
y han sido
demonstrations,
Los choques
we've had
provocados por
clashes
grupos
provoked by the
paramilitares organizados por
paramilitary
fuerzas
forces,
que adversan al
organized
gobierno
by
y que
people who
se
are
han
against the
lanzado
government
a
and who have
atacar, a
attacked.
destruir y a intentar
And
tomar
who've,
estaciones de policía. Cuando ninguna
Well,
dinastía,
first of all, we're not talking about any dynasty.
ni se me ocurre pues montar una dinastía.
It never occurred to me to set up a dynasty.
Mi esposa es
My wife,
que es
it's the
vicepresidenta.
first time ever she's been vice president.
Nunca había sido
She'd not been
vicepresidenta.
vice president before.
Vicepresidenta.
If you aren't funding and arming these paramilitary groups, who is?
Uno financiándose con actividades
Some are
vinculadas al
financed with drug trafficking.
otro buscando también
Others
financiamiento de parte de
Have
organismos,
tried to obtain financing
de organismos,
from different
de los mismos
organizations, even in the United
que tienen
States,
programas
organizations
diferentes agencias
that have programs
que,
and activities,
dan el financiamiento por un programa determinado, pero luego esos fondos se desvían
and they
y se
have
utilizan
funds, and those
para entrenar
funds
y formar
are then
grupos
used to
paramilitares y
train
buscando también como
paramilitary groups
armas,
and
porque
help
ya
them get
para
weapons.
asesinar
In order to murder
decenas de policías.
tens of policemen,
Se necesita ya un armamento de guerra.
you have to use wartime weaponry.
Persecución y
There
afectación
have
a la
been
Iglesia
no
Católica.
persecutions of the Catholic Church.
Más bien y los invitamos.
Rather,
al
we
obispo a que
invite
ellos fuesen parte
the
del diálogo,
Catholic
que
Church to
contribuyeran al
continue
diálogo, para que el diálogo
with
pudiese
the dialogue
desarrollarse
so the dialogue
de
can
forma,
grow and develop
abierta.
in an open manner.
Mr. President, as you said, the Catholic Church was mediating discussions for some time, but now they believe, the Catholic Church believes, they're under attack by pro-government forces. We've seen the images, we've seen the video. You have the auxiliary bishop in Managua tweeting out, the government of Nicaragua crosses the limit of inhuman and immoral. The international community cannot be indifferent. This is a bishop in Managua. Obviously, the Catholic Church believes they're under attack from you.
Well, that responds to a certain way of thinking. Ever since the bishop came to Nicaragua, he's been saying the same thing. Why wasn't he here during the war? He wasn't in the country during the war. He was in Rome. There's not a single priest that we're persecuting. There's not a single priest who can claim that he's been attacked by the government, by the government officials, the church, and the Episcopal Conference. We have no problems.
Mr. President, obviously the Catholic Church there on the ground believes that they are under attack. Pro-government forces fired on the Divine Mercy Church in Managua. 2 protesters killed inside. Would you tonight condemn any attacks on a sanctuary?
No
Nicaraguan has died in any church. Not a single Nicaraguan has died in any church. That's false.
Mr. President, to listen to the people talking that get their images out, talking about what they see are attacks, and to hear their cries, take a listen to an aunt and a mother who lost students.
Por favor.
Please, the people, United Nations, come together to save us from this disgrace that we are living through. This is not just for the government and police to be able to do this to us.
God help us during these times when Monimbo is devastated and the youth are fleeing their homes. We bury some of them. We don't know where they are taking the others.
How do you respond to them?
Well, the saddest thing, of course, is the loss of life. This terrorist attack, because it's really terrorism what's happening here. And in addition to seeing that mother crying because of the death of her son, there are other mothers who were shown where the bodies are burning. They tortured young people and they burn them. The situation is made public to scare people, to sow fear and terror among our people.
Mr. President, this week the U.S. Congress is going to pass, we're told, a resolution condemning the violent actions of the Nicaraguan government against its citizens. Among other things, it will say the recent protests led by students have been met with violent and brutal response. The murders and the violence have continued, torture, disappearances. The government has also shut down media outlets, denied basic medical care to protesters, and attempted to poison their food and water, and sanctioned the murder of political opponents. That will pass the U.S. Congress this week. What message do you have to the U.S. that this is going to come to an end?
It's totally untrue. In hospitals, they've treated everybody. There are plenty of proofs of that. There's been a campaign of lies, terrible lies, to try to hurt the image of Nicaragua and of its government, and in support of activities that have become more and more prevalent. This is not new that the Congress of the United States deals with matters having to do with Nicaragua and that it take measures against Nicaragua. The history of our relations with the United States has been painful. I don't want to repeat it.
Mr. President, 40 years ago, you were a young revolutionary fighting, as you say, a brutal family dictatorship, the Somozas. Now, the protesters on the street chant, Ortega and Somoza are the same thing. To end the violence and to help your country, would you consider, you and your wife, stepping down from power?
We were elected by the voters. So there have been electoral periods, there are term limits, and our electoral period ends with the elections of 2021, when we will have our next elections. And then we'll have to see who will be voted in for the new administration.
You agreed in May to have early elections, but then you rescinded that decision in June. Would you agree to have early elections, sir?
This business of moving up the elections is something I've heard about, I've heard people talk about, but I haven't indicated that the elections need to be moved up. To move up the elections would create instability, insecurity, and make things worse.
Why did you agree to this interview? What message do you have to the American people and maybe to President Trump?
We are a small country with a fragile economy, but we deserve respect. We deserve respect as any state of the United States deserves respect, no matter how small that state of the Union is. They deserve respect, and we equally deserve respect. We are a country in this hemisphere, in this part of the world, and we have strong links of all types with the American people.
President Daniel Ortega from Managua, Nicaragua. Mr. President, thank you for the time.
Gracias.